Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Roots Report, but a special one as I'm joined with a lovely guest, another fellow beat writer of the Oakland Roots. It's it's the notorious. Uh, People talk about him in the streets, but the crossover you never knew you wanted or expected. And I've got the lovely John. How are you doing, good sir? Tell the lovely people where you're from, and where they can find your lovely material, be it verbal or written.
Yep, John Comeaux, Oakland Roots blog. Been covering the team for several years now, since 2021. I can't believe so much time has flown by. But just trying to provide all the insides and happenings that's going on with Oakland Roots. And yeah, it was this is the collaboration that dozens of people have asked for. So many people are
Dozens.
watching. The stakes are medium, but but yeah, very happy to hop on. I knew this was gonna happen, so eventually. So glad to
Yeah,
knock this out. It'll be fun.
glad to have you on, good sir. And this week, everyone, I thought it's a little over the halfway point of the season, but we're still in the thick of it. So 17 games into the USL schedule for the Oakland Roots. And I thought, what would be better than a mid-season review, kind of look back at the season / looking ahead, the positives, the surprise players, the absolute disappointment, and then probably the dumpster fire that we left on the side of the road or sent to Hartford. Who knows? But overall, it's been an interesting season for the Roots. Probably what I expected. I knew about the Roots relatively over the last few years. I wasn't absolutely in the weeds like I am this year, but I at least had a passing knowledge of the day-to-day of what's going on with the team, and a much more official this year. For you, John, how has this season so far been up to your expectations / what you thought was going to happen for the Roots?
Oh well, I think I did have some expectations that they'd be higher than 10th, 9th place right now. I think my expectation after this last off season, which was a big change from the
Mhm.
previous years I covered the team. Roots really much a nickel dime kind of team. Take a lot of swings on players who are coming off of rough situations, taking chances on guys like Memo Diaz after El
Mhm.
Paso,
Yep.
Paul Blanchett after RGV Toros he was at.
Mm.
And this last offseason, they really put their money where their mouth was in building a big team amongst the league. Signed a lot of good players. Panos Armanakis is a champion and was a headline signing. Jurgen Damm, obviously
Yep.
a headline signing based off his background. So, I mean, and the list goes on amongst, bringing back Kai Green and um, so on and so forth. Faisal recently and, you know, back to the offseason. So, um,
Yeah, they're very
I
high on
had
him. I
to,
don't know what to expect with him, but they're very high on him. So we'll.
yeah. It's an interesting league where maybe one man's trash is another man's treasure, but he's still young, 25. He's got a lot of room to grow, and maybe what FC Tulsa had just didn't quite fit him. It's
Yeah, because like he did
kind
well
of
in the
comparable. Yeah,
previous
kind of
levels. I know it was a lower level, but still.
right. It's kind of comparable to the college game. One kid doesn't stick to a certain coaching staff and enters the transfer portal and might do pretty well on another team. So, I mean, and back to the original question was,
Fair.
there's been some big growth out of this
Mhm.
organization, especially from 2024 to 2025. I mean, they've really looked to fine tune a lot of stuff, professionalize a lot of things in some ways. But yeah, still some room to grow, as I'm sure you have learned. How about you? My question for you is, what have you learned about this team? I said the first day I met you, we'll test your patience. So, what have you learned about this?
I've learned how do I put this into good words? I've learned that this team it's definitely, and it's harsh to say, it's definitely right now a better marketing branch and lifestyle brand than it is a soccer team, which is not bad, but you also do want to do better on the pitch. Overall, I didn't really know what to come from with a lot of daily, just to see what they were about, and get kind of like the true peek behind the curtain. I'm cautiously optimistic, but that may just be my normal sense, where I'm just normally, I kind of look for the more positives in a team and try and not be like, oh, let's not worry about, this is the sixth coach in too many years, where you're like type things, or start, or I do have some question marks. We'll get to those, mainly around international slot signings. I'm a little confused on that front, and that could just be a questioning front office decisions overall. But since the change in the halfway of the season, I fully expected at the beginning of the year, like the first few games, I thought they would do. I heard a whole bunch of hoopla of them being like, "This is a new us, where this is gonna be the year, and we're going for cups," and they talking a big game, and it very quickly was like, okay, those were nice quotes. Those aren't realistic quotes, especially with the depressing. Not depressing, because I'm not like, I root for stories, not less teams, but the Jägermeister Cup, if you had just beaten the two teams in the leagues below you, you're going, and Sacramento is not. But that's for them to figure out internally on their own time. But overall, I think they were a better team than 10th in the West. How much better, I don't know, but that could also just be the Western Conference literally just being a bucket of 12 teams, and they're just shaking which 8 come out in a month and a half. Like, outside of Vegas, who I think maybe after this week is officially like, okay, I do not think you're going to make the playoffs, but then Vegas can win 2 games and they're hosting a playoff game. Like
they just got a new coach today.
Did they get another new one?
I missed that. New coach announced today.
Well, after giving up 10 goals in 2 games, I get it. I get it. But the West is a complete just grab bag. I couldn't tell you who truly is good, who truly is bad. And that's like me diving deep into these teams. Like, I believe New Mexico is good. New Mexico's also in 5th right now and not hosting a playoff game. Sacramento is usually always good, and then they were bad the entire year until the last month and a half, and now they're in 2nd place. And it's like, sure, why not Western Conference? And it's like, I'm just trying to figure out who the true pretenders are, and I'm learning fully in the West that they're all pretenders until they get to the playoffs, and then we're like, okay, these were the actual real teams, but they won't actually know who those 8 teams are until the second to last week. Is my assumption is what's about to happen this the rest of the season. Let me see if I can bring up. So, the Western Conference. I'll start here a little bit before I want to go to one of our positives and then our disappointments so far this season. But the Western Conference, of your top 4 seeds right now, of FC Tulsa, who the Roots have beaten, San Antonio in third, who the Roots have beaten, El Paso, who the Roots have tied, and then Sacramento, was that 2-0 earlier this season? Or 3? That was the one game out of the top 4 right now where they got at least semi outplayed, and you're like, sure, okay. But
Daniel, hold on. I have to get my charger. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you go for all 4.
My laptop's about to shut down.
Oh boy. We go in, we're doing it live, everyone. We're doing it live. But overall, when it comes to the Oakland Roots, did I think they'd be 10th? No. Did I think they'd be top 4? Also no. But also, if they beat Colorado Springs this week, they're back into the playoffs. So I'm like, just give me a race to the end, and we'll see what happens. If they make the playoffs and I have to take a drive to Phoenix or something, so be it. Hopefully it's not San Antonio or Tulsa, because that one is less likely to happen. But
yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I've gone to one Phoenix game. I mean, it's Phoenix. Yeah. It's okay, I guess. Yeah. It's very hot.
I'm looking to go to the Sacramento game in a few weeks, but we'll see what happens.
I'll be there too. Would that be your first away day?
It will be my first away one, yes. Outside of my normal sports writing and the past, where it's just like, oh yes, go to Crescent City tonight, and I'm like, sure, guys. Or the Hill in Piedmont. That one still kills me, but I learned with Piedmont High School, you just find parking, the 3 parking spots in the lower parking lot, and you get there like 3 hours early.
Oh yeah, you gotta park in the streets.
Because parking up top the 2 times I did before writing on deadline playoff game stories. Oof. My calves were cramping up while you're writing in a car in the hills of Oakland. People are looking at you weird. And you're like, I swear I'm just normal. Don't worry about it. But let's start with do you want to start with your like biggest positives, or do you want to start with, and this kind of overlaps, but like your biggest surprises of the season? Do you have a preference?
Oh, I mean, we could talk about both. I mean, start with surprises. I mean, Ali Al-Masnawi is the obvious that's choice. That whole midfield has been pretty surprising, and I've talked about this on Roots Pod about how, I mean, Babosi on the bench is such a testament to the quality that they're getting out of the midfield, especially with Ali Al-Masnawi number 1, but Tyler Gibson is playing very, very well. Yeah, I think he provides something a little different than what Ali and Babosi can bring. I think he's a little bit defensively better. Ali is still a very good defensive player. He's made some nice tackles. I think maybe that is what is maybe keeping Babosi off the field. Is just the one, not just the tendency to play forward and look up and have your eyes downfield, but also to have that defensive resilience. I think even the stats and metrics on Babosi coming into the team from previous stops showed someone who is more forward lying and didn't have the best defensive numbers. So, not much of a surprise there, but another guy, Danny Gomez, he's someone who has bounced around this team from, previous years.
He's kind of like, I wasn't expecting him to fit into the places he has so far, but it's been a pleasant surprise, especially in the new era of just like, they're also giving him a shot to take that spot. It hasn't been one of those things where it's like, oh, you're a good bench player or you're a good sub. He has shown, at least on the left side, that there's something there. It may not be the thing that's like every fan is just like, I need a Danny Gomez jersey right now, but it could be one of those, hey, if you're best 8 or like best 11, like he's potentially probably in that right now, like especially with how they're working the up top, where you're like they're still kind of piecing it together. I wouldn't be shocked if he eventually just takes that role fully, though. With the new with I'm sure they're going to give Faisal. I've heard like I need to look at the pronunciation guy, but I've seen three different. I watched three different videos and they all had different pronunciations from announcers, and I went, sure, face all it is. It's like Babosi. Though at Bayaranga, I've at least gotten that one. I'm still bad with Ollie's last name. I don't know why the SN, like the middle of it, just trips me up every time, and I'm like, I gotta get better. He's gonna be in the future plans unless some team picks him up, which
which is a possibility.
It's
I mean,
right.
In an ideal world, you can sell Ali in 2 years time.
Yeah.
I mean, when he's 21, 22, those are those prime age years. 23, you know, to move players on to the next level for a significant, you know, fee.
Which if at that point, if he has outgrown the USL, he's outgrown the USL, and I wouldn't expect like especially that's probably roughly around the time if they get everything together, where maybe they do the upper division, and like if the Roots have plans of being in that, you could be like, oh, you have the money to keep him. But if he's upgraded past the level, and like an MLS team or a team in Europe is paying big money, that's going to pay for a whole lot of players. And look, fans probably won't be happy about that, but like that's the cycle of life when it comes to soccer teams. Like going back to Johnny Rodriguez, like Las Vegas gave up the bag to go get him, and Roots just like silver platter, here you go.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and to that point too, you know, it really is the ethos of the team to develop local talent and move them on to the next phase of their career elsewhere. You know, it's a big world of soccer / football out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, his dreams have to be, you know, much larger than playing USL championship, you know, albeit for his local team.
Yeah, especially the payday. Like he can come back when he's 35. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I see it in him. I think it's within him. He seems to have the drive. You've seen him in our press conferences. I thought some of his quotes were refreshing about saying, you know, the job is never outright his. He's always going to have to work for that job because he has Tyler Gibson and Babosi.
He's got Babosi right on his heels. So, like, unless they move Babosi into a more attacking position, which I don't think is what they've envisioned for him. Like, because Babosi was like, he was the Ali for a bit, where everyone was just like, oh, look at this.
Yeah, man. I wrote an article about him taking his spot for his own in the midfield, and sure,
the John article curse.
That's the curse. No. Sorry, Ali, you got like 2 out there.
But no, especially one of the more surprising things for me with Tyler Gibson was, like, originally at the beginning of the season, they were getting absolutely destroyed in the midfield. There was no connectivity. The back line was getting absolutely gutted. And I was kind of like, okay, like Tyler Gibson, this, especially with Babosi coming in, we're like, hey, maybe this is like the end of the slowdown of a career. He's hitting that age where you wouldn't be surprised if like this is the last like little hurrah for him. But then he missed, I think, 1 or 2 games with injury, and it got so much worse. And then he came back, and then it calmed down everything, and went, oh, you were the piece that needs to stay there. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. And it's just like, especially on the defensive side, which we brought up before, is it's not incredibly flashy, but it's those types of midfielders that you need to make sure it gets to Panos, it gets to the people who can make the highlights that all the people are going to be talking about, getting the outlet passes down the right side to Maury Donor or Jurgen Damm, whichever way, who's playing right back wing. And I have grown to appreciate his role more and more, especially as a veteran leadership. It probably doesn't hurt that the training facility this year, they can at least be somewhat rested compared to some places in the league where it's a little dicey here. But though I will say I was on the kind of negative surprising things. I was expecting a lot more from Camden Riley, but that may have been that he was one of the people we talked to during the media days, and it could also be he's a very good talker. He is very good, bright energy. He's going to say all of the right things. He's very, very high tempo, high pressure. Even in interviews, you know what you're getting. It's going to be upbeat. It's going to be a great time. And then the season has kind of just not come together for him at all. And I'm not right now. It's just kind of, oh, you're the backup for Kai Green, and it's like that's not what I thought was going to happen this season.
Yeah, I thought he'd push Kai for more minutes. He's also dealt with multiple injuries this season. I think early on he suffered something, came back pretty quickly and hurt himself quickly again, and I think he's been battling something that's lingering. It's almost the same breath as Jürgen Damm. I mean, clearly Cam hopefully less so than Jürgen. I really think Damm is battling something that's going to linger for the rest of the season. I think, he's got a lot of minutes under those feet, under those ankles in his career. And especially it's going to be something.
Especially because he's a speedster. For Damm, like his entire upbringing was, I am faster than everyone else on the field. And those type of players, when they start getting those lower like body injuries, it starts quickly and it doesn't ever really go away. So that's kind of my worry for him. I don't know. Like, I know the USL with contracts is always very not about letting anything of that out. Because I don't know if they have him for next year or not, but I would be very intrigued to see what their plans for him the rest of the season, depending on his health and what they envisioned for him. Because he was very prominent today. No shock, being a former national team member of Team Mexico. But it's very, very strange to see what happens with him, because he's probably definitely in my disappointments category when we get to that. Not a big. I didn't have that much expectations, but I was hoping for a little bit. I had lowered expectations from talking from a lot of Atlanta United fans, I think, when he stopped a few years ago, where they were like, if you love seeing a guy run up the right side and do nothing with it, have fun. And I was like, all right, fair.
I mean, to be fair, I think I've actually enjoyed what I've seen from Jürgen Damm. I thought he made some very really good plays.
Like, you can definitely
down
see,
the right
especially
side.
The header to Peter Wilson. From a long time ago. That's when you're like, oh, I see why you were made teams. Like, it's in there.
And I think that it's within there. I really feel that this ankle situation is something they're going to have to manage the rest of the way. And with that, that's why you bring in Maury Donor. Maury Donor has proven he can play almost all 90 minutes. I mean, if you need a spark down the right side, I think that especially late in games, Damm is someone they can do that with. I feel he may provide Maury Donor has looked great offensively, but I still think Damm is a step above in that regard. So chasing a goal, I mean, I like that. He is a marquee veteran signing that you probably expect to start, you would
hope.
You pay him to start, but it is what it is. And if he can spell Donor really well down that right side, he can even play on the left side. If you need some width, some speed, I think that he's a great guy to have. I mean, maybe not panning out exactly like was envisioned when you sign a Mexican
the hoopla and just things where it's like, oh, we got this a
Yeah.
former Mexican national team member, and everyone kind of perks up and go, oh, and
Yeah.
then you go, oh, okay, but it's still
He
like
has more social media followers than the whole team than the team combined. He's
which is
got
so
like
wild.
millions more.
That's why I'm kind of surprised they haven't used him more on that front. But no, well, I don't check Instagram as much. It's probably on there. Who knows? But on surprises, I would say definitely in the second half at least, the kind of revival of Gagi
Yeah, the
has
Gagi
been
sans.
the Gagi Sans is here, and to be fair, deservedly so. He got that opportunity, and he is absolutely ran with it. Especially when it comes to um, his being able to run forward from the defense, especially on some of those free kicks and those corner kicks. He has been really, and I'm not sure what the disconnect was, where if it was mental or just not a shot, because even in the games he played at the beginning of the season where he kind of got those late sub minutes, it was definitely it felt off, and it could have been just the whole defensive back line was just in a weird funk overall as a group. Because like if you look at individual players, they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of USL time minutes, especially Kai Green and Hackshaw have so much time, like true sense of the word veterans. But everyone was just like, it didn't feel like a unit. It kind of just felt like a very strange moving group that of course ended up with a whole bunch of goals being let in. And I hope that the notion that the Oakland Roots are the worst defense in the league is starting to change over the last like since the Benny era. Like they're not the best defense in the league, but they're definitely way better than when you hear broadcast teams that only saw the early games where they gave up 4 goals and you're just like, they were the team that was the worst. Sure. But I've really loved what I've seen from Gagi, especially from just being able to make the Kai Green, Hackshaw, Gagi full back line. And it's worked really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's really been a marquee change for Benny Philhopper, was moving Hackshaw from that central role to the left side, and then bringing Gagi into that central spot. I mean, he was, almost written off completely under Gavin Clinton.
I thought
mean,
like from the
I would
beginning of the
think,
year, I was like, oh,
yeah.
is he gonna get like dropped or traded? Because I was like, oh, he's just not. Because I had seen things from previous years. I like just from the grapevines and stuff, like, and I know he did well last year. And I was like, and everyone was talking on Roots Pod and be like, oh, what happened to Gagi? Like,
Yeah,
wasn't there something here?
interesting.
And then it just absolutely off. And I'm assuming that's probably was a coach's like staffing decision.
Mm-hmm.
But he has truly ran with it. And like I couldn't see them changing. I feel like that back line, those 3 at least, is pretty solidified. We'll see what they do with left back, like left wing back. I still don't know exactly what's going on there. Like you would assume that's Jurgen Damm, unless they like try and, because the Maury Donor Panos like semi triangle up top has been really nice. And that could also just be, hey, Donor's a spark plug, Panos is a spark plug. They just let them fly off and go be lightning balls. And you're just like, okay. They go do their thing and hopefully someone scores. But like, would you imagine that Dom is going to take, like, if he's fully healthy, will take back the left wing back spot? Or do you think that's one of those, he's just a super sub for most of the rest of the season?
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I think his health is going to prevent him from being a starter. I think that you want to manage him the rest of the way. Playoffs are right around the corner, and this guy's been battling ankle issues since he's came in. I think you have to manage that just to make sure that he might be available for the playoffs if they make it. But that being said, I think Julian Bravo has looked great. I think that he just had his way with Loudon
Oh
um,
yeah.
in that game, and you know, even before that, is he's his passes are accurate. They're where you want them to go. You know, basics of passing,
You
but
know,
you know, he's
the,
able to free himself up from his defender. He's also like 6'1", you
yeah,
know, 6'2",
when
like
you visually see him, you're like,
size.
okay, I get it.
Yeah. So I actually like Bravo there. I've brought up left wing back as an area for improvement. I still think it is. Um, but we talked about this on Roots Pod. I think
Mhm.
that maybe the central role might be an area where they can really take the biggest boost. You know, that's not to
Mhm.
take away from Gagi, but I think that there is room for improvement there.
Mhm.
And if you do try to upgrade the central role, Gagi has proven he can also play both sides in
Yeah.
that other center back role. So, you know, and that adds some depth to, you know, an important position. So, yeah, I could see maybe I could see both roles being addressed. I could even see maybe a slight upgrade over EJ Johnson as a possible idea. Because maybe, I mean, it depends. EJ Johnson's very, very raw. Maybe you want someone who is a little bit more polished finishing wise, who can make an impact in those last, you know, 10 minutes, 15,
EJ
20 minutes of
Johnson has been
games.
a bit. I had like because that was definitely one of the players, especially at Roots Media Day, and it could just because he's local, but like there a lot of Roots like inside the team they were really excited for him, and my
Mhm.
guess is it could be one of those. This is gonna be a weird kind of tangent, but like Isaiah Nayers for the 49ers, undrafted rookie wide receiver. He's absolutely huge. He can run faster than anyone. He can jump higher than anyone, and he can't catch the ball. And it's like you look at it like in a laboratory, and you're like, that's a good player right there. But then you put him on the field, and you're like, oh, he's on the ground flopping over there. Well, he's really good. Well, I take it back. He's he attempts to get calls. And I'm not sure if there's like a thing where like there's like a group chat of refs and they're like, hey, this EJ Johnson guy, he only dives. Just if he goes to the floor, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. But like when you look at him and like when I watched him in that practice, I was like, okay, physically, there's a lot of talent here. And then when you put him in the game, besides last week against Orange County, where God, that was by the
He had a couple good moments. Yeah. He had
slimmest
some good
margin.
moments.
Like if the defender wasn't absolutely playing out of his mind to save that goal, he has his first goal of the season, and then we're maybe talking about a different conversation. But to have a young up and coming, supposedly supposed to be the maybe a striker of the future, have no goals and very little shots through 17 games, is not as encouraging as
Hmm.
I'm assuming people were hoping for at the beginning of the season for him.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
mean, I compare his signing to Johnny Rodriguez.
yep.
Because Johnny Rodriguez was signed by the club at 21 years old, fresh out of uh was it Northridge?
Oh yeah, I think so.
CSU Northridge. And you know, very raw talent. I think the most important thing with EJ right now is just getting him minutes and getting him time. You think back to I think back to Johnny Rodriguez's first USL championship season, which is at 22 years old, same age that EJ is right now.
Yeah.
He still played sparingly. I don't think he got over
Mm-hmm.
1,000 minutes, but got in like I think around 800, 900 minutes. I think he scored 3 times. Johnny, we always knew was a finisher. That was the
That's his
biggest
calling
part
card, yeah.
of Johnny's game was he was a good finisher, you know, something you want in a striker. But you look at EJ, he's so much more physically developed than Johnny was at
Oh yeah.
21, 2 years old, you know, like you can tell Johnny was a young guy at that
Yeah.
age. And you look at EJ and it's like, oh man, this guy could go to the NFL combine and maybe get
Yeah,
get signed.
exactly.
He's big, he's like 6'1", 6'2". He's,
Big,
he's well
physical,
developed.
and he plays like that because he does have that speed. He does have that. I'm not sure if it's just an issue of the Roots have had issues getting good opportunities to their strikers outside of Peter Wilson in the devastation game a few weeks ago, where what was it, 5 or 6 opportunities you'd say? It happened in goals.
Yeah,
That
it was
that
rough.
was pretty rough. But like outside of a couple, like it's a stat I wanted to bring up, which I thought makes a lot of sense, but is very unfortunate. Was what place would you in the USL is Oakland Roots in shots?
Oh man, it can't be that high. There's got to be pretty low, man. I don't even see him right there in the screen. No, they've got to be bottom 5 or something.
They're
the worst. They're the worst.
By over 27 goals or 27 shots, worse than Las Vegas, notorious last place in the league when it comes to goals scored with what is Las Vegas at here? 13.
Wow.
Which does mean that their conversion rate is actually quite high, but that also means you're just not getting shots on goal. Yeah. And I don't know exactly how to solve that with how this team is constructed.
You shoot the ball. That's how you do it.
You would think, but we also saw the last shot of Jose Luis Sinisterra's career, where he absolutely launched a field goal into the upper deck inside the box. I'm not sure what's, at least we got some, like at least I think it was versus Loudon, but where Babosi took an absolute just like rocket shot from outside the box, like from deep, and it like wasn't on target really, but I was like, good on you for shooting. I know that's a low bar, but I'm just like, someone wants to just attempt it, because the amount of worldies and just like impressive shots that have gone in against the Roots, where you're just like, the Roots aren't even
attempting, level out eventually.
At least even attempting the possibility of these shots. And like the last one we had was the first Panos goal. I guess only Panos goal. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think so. Where it was like, there he is. There's the player we know that could like somewhat put it in the back of the net. But let me see. Is there anyone else that's
It's the curse of Johnny Rodriguez.
The curse of Johnny Rodriguez.
Johnny Rodriguez would only score bangers, and now this year we only give up bangers.
Yeah, I think the other thing is the Oakland Roots are tied for 17th with 19 goals. With Las Vegas and Rhode Island, though very worryingly, Rhode Island scored 3 of their 14 goals against the Roots in that one game.
It's amazing.
Which may tell you how Rhode Island's season is going up there in the Northeast. But let me see here. Outside of Ollie, what has been your biggest surprises for this roster this season?
For the roster,
and it could be positive or negative on this one. So,
yeah, okay. I think maybe Panos's early activity was surprising. How he wasn't really producing, and he even got moved to the bench a couple times. And then the rise under Feilhaber has also been, I mean, I don't know if you want to characterize it as a surprise, but more so something that absolutely needed to happen. I mean, Panos was signed as, he was arguably the headline signing of
Yeah.
the off season. I mean, he came in, he's one of the more prolific playmakers in the league, showed that under Loudon and then showed that under Phoenix, led them to a title. He's always been someone who can not just start attacks, but finish them too. And we're slowly seeing that under Benny. That's really been a big change, was giving Panos the keys to the offense, which is what he needed all along, but also telling him why he wasn't, producing as he wanted. It's because Roots were struggling so much to get the fucking ball down the goddamn field that he wanted to join into the defense as like a 6. And he's now not in position to make those plays. Benny talked about that in the press conference that we sat in there with him.
Yeah, that was okay, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was about to bring that specific point up, is that Panos's loan media availability that we had with him was extremely eye-opening, of like him trying to be Superman. And it's just like, if I can't get the ball from you guys, I guess I'm gonna have to go back and get the ball and then do what I want to do. And just, you could tell that like Feilhaber was just like, stop, go here, be who you're meant to be, and trust your teammates that they're going to get you there. And if it's not, that's not your fault. We'll fix them. And then it started working. And you're like, oh, look, because he was definitely one of the players I was very confused by. Because I was listening to you guys on Roots Pod. I was listening to across the league, and everyone's just like, Panos is the guy. Like, Panos is going to be great. Panos is high energy. It's going to be great. And I never saw it at the beginning of the year. Like, you saw like a whole bunch of just times where you're just like, what is he doing? Why is he there? Why is the midfield completely destroyed? Like, there is no connective tissue anywhere on this team. And it makes so much sense after like talking to him, of just like, oh, he was just trying to do everything because he wanted it so badly that was the negative, and that kind of festers that mentality of just like, oh, I know it's not going to go well. Why should I trust this? Where I think, especially since Maury Donor has come to kind of unlock that right side, which I also wasn't really expecting, because I'm still confused at what I need to dig into it. But what happened to Dallas? Like, or not Dallas, Detroit.
Yeah.
What's happening with Detroit? Because like they brought him in, and it was like a big time summer, like he was their big time, one of their big time signings, and then he just didn't really play. And I just don't like, and like he comes here and instantly is just like unleashed.
Instant.
And like he was just like, I've been waiting for this to like be able to run free like in the fields. And it was just like, Detroit, you couldn't have used this? This wasn't like, especially then seeing Detroit a few weeks later, I was just like, yeah, you'll make the playoffs in the East, but then you're just gonna lose to Charleston or Loudoun. It's like, have fun, I guess. It was very strange, and I'm assuming that's probably just coach and politics and behind practice shenanigans that doesn't like, is just part of the we've seen our fair share this season. But it's a change of scenery, I guess, or he could just be a West Coast guy.
Yeah.
Being from Canada,
who knows?
Who
knows? Yeah, I mean, if they do strike gold twice, Maury Donor and Faisal, who they've brought in after they were struggling to see the field. I mean, it's a good look for the technical staff. I mean, it's shows maturity. I think that's something that I've talked about year after year since 2021, is this technical staff, the soccer operations maturing as they go, and the club going through growing pains. We've seen that, year in, year out. Like you mentioned, 6 head coaches in this club span. I mean, I've wrote articles on this. I think you look at everybody other than maybe Yamamoto in the technical
Mhm.
staff. They're all very young in their career,
Yeah.
mid-30s. There's the Jordan Farrell, Nana Adekor very much learning as they've
Yeah.
gone through this. And I feel like these types of signings who, people who succeed after struggling and really become marquee players, it's stuff that they need. I think that, Ali and the development of him is very important to the ethos of the team. I mean, it shows maturity there. I mean, I've been very critical of them. I think, a
I mean,
lot of my
understandably so.
criticism has been fair.
I would agree.
I know they probably hate me for it, but nothing but love. It's, I think that, you know, there have been signs of maturity for people within the team and within the front office, and that has to continue into this next offseason. A sign of that immaturity has been the coaching situation. It very much is what it is.
Yeah.
The
And we're the elephant of the room is quickly approaching on that for this season as well, which we'll get to, I guess, at the probably on the future part of this. But what they're gonna do with Benny, or what Benny wants to do with them,
or what Benny wants to do himself.
Exactly.
This is a big opportunity for Benny. It very much continued his coaching vision. He was unemployed. He was playing U.S. Open Cup this year. So it's a big opportunity for him, not just to stick with Oakland Roots. That might be a possibility based on how the season goes. I don't think that making the playoffs or finishing in any certain position is the marquee bar that you want to see. It's about how this team, how this system can grow. A lot of the things that he has been preaching is he wants people to know what their system is. Back to the technical staff, I mean, the next decision is so important, and it's going to show how far their maturity has come, what they're able to do, and how they do it. I mean, re-signing, Noah Delgado after 2022, clear mistake. Gavin, rehiring Gavin was a clear mistake. These were all criticisms that they were facing at the end of those seasons, and they didn't learn from it. They still tried to stick with the approach and admitted defeat both times. So now going into 2026 after this season, I mean, this is now the most important choice for this team, for the first team.
Yeah, I especially on his front, like, of course, these last 13 games are going to tell us a whole bunch, especially just how they do under pressure in, like, at least must-point games. Like, this week against Colorado Springs is astronomically huge, and I was talking to him today about that, and just like what they could take from the Orange County game to playing against a team that is also going to be a pain to get the ball into the box. It's destined for a 1-1 or 1-0 type of game, though. He did keep me honest and say they have scored 7 goals in their last 2 games. One was versus Texoma, and I don't care too much about that one, but they did score 3 against Lexington, so, like, fair, like, but, like, this is before September. Let me see if I can bring up the schedule here. But, like, the next couple of games, actually the next 4, Colorado Springs, who you are, I believe 1 point, 1 point behind in the standings. Monterey Bay, you're 2 points behind in the standings. Colorado Springs is coming to town. Getting at least a point, or ideally a win, would be astronomically great. At Sacramento Republics is going to be tough. Like, they're playing very well, and they've also given up, like, absolutely 0 goals this season, which I know
anything can happen in a derby. Anything can happen.
I know.
It's a great game. I can't wait.
I'm excited for
it.
I need to send in my credential request. But hopefully that goes all well. But I think that game is going to be absolutely bananas. I'm going to get back home at 2 a.m. It's going to be great.
Fuck, man.
But then you go to Lexington. And like all of these games, like if you can come out with 2 victories out of those 3 and you see yourself at like 6th or 7th in the table before you get to the nightmare stretch, which is versus Pittsburgh, Charleston Battery, and FC Tulsa, like that 3-game stretch is going to just, I know you would know better on this from my front. Is it August or September where the Roots decide to fall off a cliff usually? Or
August
both?
and September. August and September. It's yeah. Either one, man.
But September, especially when I just look at this, Pittsburgh, Charles. At least, luckily, it's not at Pittsburgh. But like, it's still, you're just fighting against a bag covered with nails, and that's gonna be a pain. Charleston Battery may just be the best team in the league. FC Tulsa, I wouldn't be shocked at, like, depending on where they're at, is such a weird team because I wasn't expecting. That was the one weird game where, I guess San Antonio as well, but where you go to Oklahoma and they just beat up FC Tulsa 2-0, and it's like I think this was none of those weird cases as well. Oh yeah, they've given up 18 goals this season, and 2 of them were against the Roots, and that they've given up more recently. But there was a large period of time where FC Tulsa's most goals were against Oakland Roots given up, which what's going on, Oakland? Like, but then like I'm gonna put this in air quotes. Luckily, the last half of the season lines up relatively okay. It is a lot of road games, though the Roots have strangely been very good on the road this year. I'm not sure if that's the luxurious Oakland airport travel. But Phoenix just lost one of their star strikers to Belgium. El Paso is a coin flip. It could be 4-4 goal. It could be the 0-0 like we had before. I have no clue what to think of El Paso. Hartford either is the best team ever and beats up really good teams, or they lose to everyone. Las Vegas may be checked out by October 11th.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good point.
And then Lexington, the Lexington game could be a win and in for both teams. So, let me double check. Yeah, Lexington is in the West. I was for a second, I thought they were in the East for a second. I was like, no, but like,
yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, right? Louisville is farther west than Lexington.
Yeah, but I'm glad Louisville's not in the West.
But I'm glad, yes. Yes, that could be mayhem. They could be walking away with the title.
Oh yeah. Well, it's especially like these two teams already up for, like, when you
They're
have
amazing,
4 point, when there's more point, there is more. No, sorry, it's 1 point less because Vegas messed up. -21 goal differential. But there is a 13-point difference. Oh no, it's 14. I swear I passed math class. But there is a equal difference between the 3rd place team in the East and first and last place in the West.
That's amazing.
And that could just be telling you, hey, the West, who knows who's going to be, like, would I be shocked at the end of this if Colorado Springs hosted a playoff game? No. Would I be surprised? Would I be surprised if FC Tulsa is on the road against San Antonio? Sure. Like, there's nothing I could throw and be like, I am for sure that FC Tulsa, like, they're probably locked into a playoff spot because I believe in the previous years it was around like 40 points was playoff level, I think.
Something like that.
Let me just look here. We're going behind the mirror. 42 points last year for the West was a playoff spot. We did lose 4 games?
4 games, yep.
So
they're looking good.
Yeah. My assumption is 35 points is probably the 8th place cutoff line. That could be optimistic, but my gut tells me that that range is probably what gets you into the playoffs. It could still be over 40. You never know if a whole bunch of teams, like if Vegas just completely bottoms out. Lexington has been weird because they won like the 3 to 4 games in a row, and then they almost tied against Louisville in Jägermeister and gave up a goal in the 90th minute to eliminate them. But then they lose to Colorado Springs and give up 3 goals. But then they tie Sacramento. You're like, what is this? What is all this? But then Lexington also plays against Phoenix and San Antonio, where you're like, I don't expect you to win those games, but it's the West, so who knows?
Wild West.
Wild West.
As usual.
As usual. Is there anyone that has been a disappointment for you this season? Like that you were like either from their play or front office wise, coaching staff wise? What's been the big disappointment so far that could change? It could completely flip on our heads, except for Gavin Glitton, because he's unfortunately not here anymore. But everyone else, roughly, is here. What would you say are the biggest kind of disappointments so far? It could be nebulous. It could be like the strikers. It could be individual players. Anything you want.
Yeah, the goal scoring. That's been tough. Peter Wilson has done well, but it's been a while since we've seen Wolfgang get on the score sheet, and Roots are going to have to, find options throughout the roster. It just can't be the striker every single time. With that being said, I have been impressed in spurts by Peter Wilson. I think he's a more than capable striker. I think he offers more in a passing sense than Johnny Rodriguez ever did.
Oh, yep, I agree.
He has 5 goals through all competitions. Johnny Rodriguez right now has 7, but Peter Wilson has 3 assists on top of that. So Johnny Rodriguez has like 3 or 5 assists throughout his time with Oakland Roots. So he was really a specific type of player, where I think Peter Wilson offers a bit more. After that, maybe the attendance in some of these games.
Ooh, that's a take, but I can see, like, I overall have enjoyed the Oakland Coliseum because more from the potential, but it's also not as a fan but like the idea of it, and to me it makes sense. To me it has a lot of things, but I could also see we've stuck out at that about 6,000 a game, which is still, to be fair, fantastic.
It's still good. It's still good.
Still really good. But also, if you're having a semi-filled Coliseum and then some things with, I have the amount of times I've seen through the subreddit and on Twitter and on things of like, I don't really want to pay $40 plus 25 to 30 for a ticket to a team that's was in last place for most of the last 2 months. Right. So like, or in general, even just general, because I know it was a lot cheaper at Cal State East Bay or at Laney, especially on the parking side. And like the ushers were less strict, but I know this isn't the team makes these prices, especially for parking stuff. That is the people who own the Coliseum. But I'm intrigued to see what they do for the future. Because haven't heard much. We had the pop-up at the beginning of the year where they're like, oh, maybe we're going to try something in a few years, but it's kind of gone silent since. Especially the question of, are they going to play in the Coliseum next year? Or not? What do the people who own the Coliseum want to do with the Coliseum site? Is a whole bunch of things that are out of the Roots' control that I'm intrigued to see what plays out there. Because it would be kind of strange if they go from the Coliseum and then go back to like Cal State East Bay, or it'd be like it works, but like I could definitely see the numbers wise though. Like when the stadium isn't completely full and there's only like 6,000 people, it's a weird look. It's quite weird.
Yeah.
Okay. this is where I'm probably wrong. My disappointment of the season is he's gotten better recently. I will give him credit on that front, but the backup goalkeeping position and Rafael Spiegel.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
It's my soapbox this entire season. I'm confused. One, when you already knew you were bringing in McIntosh, yes, having a second backup who is of quality is an admirable goal. That's especially if McIntosh gets hurt. You want to not be playing a 5'10" kid. That makes sense. But to use one of your international signing slots on a very and I know the modern goalkeeping game has gone towards a more attacking style where they value being able to have those long passes, being able to facilitate from the back, and he is quite good at that. But actually, as a goalkeeper, the amount of the New Mexico game, I was like, should I just leave now after 5 minutes? Like, I don't see it, and it's like, if you're that tall, why weren't you just playing basketball in Switzerland, my dude? Like, it's a very awkward body type for being that big, but also not that athletic to get the low balls. And I know he went through like the West Ham system, so like he had some, like, he has the youth talent, and like he ain't a scrub, but like I question the front office a lot when it comes to, but why here? Why didn't you just use that money on an international like striker, unless you were like really sold on Peter Wilson after giving up Johnny Rodriguez at the end of the year? It seems, and I could be completely wrong. This is going on. I will eat 1,000% crow if like I talk to the front office later in the year and they're like, oh yeah, we had a specific reason exactly why we wanted him and it made perfect sense. And I'll be like, that's on me. Okay. But it just seems like one of those things where I want a goalkeeper who sops the ball. But this may just be my media rant. Hey, dummy, you haven't played in a competitive soccer game in a decade. Shut up. Do you have any opinions on the backup goalkeeping, or am I?
Yeah. I mean, I thought no, you're right. I think it's peculiar to use an international roster spot on a backup goalkeeper who is above 30. You know, just in anything, the older you get, the more expensive you are. Like, to bring this guy over here couldn't have been the league minimum. I would be very surprised if it's the league minimum.
He's 32.
You know, there's been times I've been told time and time again that you need to hit on international roster spots. Oh, yeah. And the usage of international roster spots, and I talked about this before, I think has been those growing pains of the technical staff.
Definitely. I definitely agree on that front.
You know, how you use them. I was told, and I can talk about this, I was told after Juan Guerra was traded to Phoenix Rising, you know, or his contract relinquished to Phoenix Rising when he spurned the team in 2022, that Roots gained an international spot in the process. I'm not even sure if they used those international roster spots. I know they were trying to shop them around and didn't get anything for them. So that I think that is a testament to the growth and the development and the growing pains of the technical staff and how they are still maturing as the years go on. I still think they have a lot to prove. I think there are still positives to what the technical staff have done, but I think there's obvious signs where they need to grow some. And you know,
it's also like, especially the US is so
every sense is they're going to be given that time. So we'll see how the off season and the season. I'm already thinking of the off season.
Oh,
I'm already thinking of the future.
I'm
already thinking what happens next. What is
dude, I am in the same when I was covering like prep sports locally in the North Bay, it would be like the preseason or like the first week, and I'd be like, but what about next year, guys? Like, you're gonna be really good next year. And like, I'd have so many other media guys like, we're still here. Like let's focus on who's here instead of what could be. And I'm like, yeah, but there's like a superstar 8th grader who's like, where's he going? I don't know. Like, no, I'm fully with you on the just like the off-season shenanigans is like, depending on how the rest of this season goes, like I'm gonna be already like turning the page. Like, if they like fall out of it, though, the West truly seems like, hey, you win 2 games and you're hosting a playoff game. So it's like whoever wins 3 games in a row at the end of the season is going to be it. Unless like true teams, like if Sacramento has truly figured it out, which I wouldn't be shocked if they have. They're known for doing that, which more tells you what was happening at the beginning of the year for Sacramento. But you could say the same thing for Roots, but Roots being funky like that. Though bringing up the stat leaders, especially on shots, is a very it's pretty rough on the stats sheet. Especially your second highest shot taker is gone, is in Peru, which was a fun time finding that on social media, like 12 hours after it happened, where everyone's like,
right,
those don't look like the
I was on vacation. I blame that. I'm usually on top of those things, but I was
oh yeah, you were well, it was also on like Spanish Twitter and like Portugal. Like, it was like deep in the weeds on stuff, like deep in Peru based. Like, I wasn't expecting it. Like, I had to check with multiple people to see if it was even real, just because the Twitter account has like 500 followers. And like, is this real? Or is it like, and then like their Instagram has like 100,000. I was like, okay, it's real.
They're announcing it. Yeah.
They're announcing it. And then, but we'll see with all that shenanigans. And overall, I enjoyed his, like, he was a good, like, I enjoyed him as a player. Maybe not as much like as other people. I know a lot of people were much higher on Sinistero than I was. For me, it was mainly like the defense. If he ever got beat and it was like a 2v2, it instantly turned into a 2v1 for whoever the midfielder was, and we'd be like, oh, Tyler Gibson looks awful. But it was like, oh, there should be one other person there to make it not as awful as it's appearing. I'm like, okay, that's fair. But the shots for this team, I've liked what I've seen from Peter Wilson. Do I wish he had like 7 or 8 goals right now? You'd feel a lot better. But what was he in? Was he in the Norway League last year? I think.
Yeah.
And it tells you the level of the Norway League is maybe a little bit less. The 3rd division in Norway, a little less than the USL, which is, I guess, a statement in itself. But we've been yapping for a while, so let's see if we can wrap up on some predictions. What do you think for we're back looking at, let me see. Oop. What is 1 second. Hey, there we go. Not double going up. So we got 13 games left in this season for the Oakland Roots. An average looking schedule. You do not have to play against Louisville. You already got down with Loudoun. North Carolina's done. You're playing mostly Western Conference teams. Is this team a playoff team, John?
Yeah, I think they're a playoff team. How high they are is a different question.
It definitely feels like this seems like they're going to get the 7 seed or the 6 seed, and they'll make the playoffs, because I truly do believe this team has gotten much better under Benny. it does have talent. It has the defense, especially if this defense holds, where if they're playing at full strength, because there's been a lot of Jägermeister Cup games that kind of muddle the waters when it comes to overall goals allowed. But they've, during the Benny era, they have been pretty rock solid on the defense. Kendall has been absolute lights out in goal, and it's just, can they score enough goals to get them into the playoffs? And I don't know. I don't think, the question is, what 4 teams do I think will not make the playoffs? My guess is it's Las Vegas, Lexington, Monterey Bay, and maybe Colorado. But the problem is I don't know because Orange County weirdly has looked really good over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yes, they were playing Las Vegas, and yes, they were playing an Oakland Roots team that probably didn't care going into that Jägermeister Cup game because of the 12-team parlay needed for them to advance. It kind of was just a, hey, don't get hurt game. And plus, you gave a bunch of the veterans the day off. You're kind of knowing what the expectations are. But I don't see it from Las Vegas. Lexington's a little bit of a wild card. Monterey Bay, I know they do this a lot, where they kind of start off hot and then they just
then they fall off the face of the earth. Yeah,
they fall off the face of the earth.
I think we're in the midst of that now. Yeah,
we really are in the midst of that, because and I think they're my team, because they lost to AV Atla, like the Roots did as well, but they lost to AV Atla. They lost to Indy 3-0. They lost to Tulsa, which is an understandable loss. They lost to Oakland Roots. They lost to El Paso. They lost to Vegas a month ago, or 2 months ago almost.
Couldn't score a goal.
This feels like one of those teams that they're going to do, and maybe it could just be their own history of just, oh no, it's that time again. We're going to fall off a cliff. Or it could just be the curse of Kelpie, the mascot. That thing is a demonic demon.
Whoever thought of that? Terrible.
I'm just saying though, we could get we could get Barty as, we'll put Bloom in the gigantic Bart train, have him walk around the Los Roots in a big train. It's gonna be great, dude. But I think the Roots are a playoff team. I'm not bullish enough to say that they are a home playoff team, though. Yeah. In Oakland, a home playoff game in the Oakland Coliseum would be one of the most unhinged environments that I can imagine, mainly because there'd just be people who are like, oh my God, an Oakland team is playing a meaningful playoff game back in the Coliseum. I have to go, even if they're not a Roots fan.
Yeah, I feel like that could be really cool. Sellout potential. Yeah,
that would be really, really cool. And it's in the cards because they're only technically 6 points away from El Paso, who's in 4th. That's still, especially with how the Roots have been this season, 6 points does feel like a lot. Getting 3 points to beat Orange County for 7th eventually seems much more doable. Overall, but I could see any of these teams, like New Mexico, could weirdly have just fallen into they were playing so well at the beginning of the season, they could fall off a cliff. Phoenix Rising is going to need a new. I can't remember how good, but he was one of their starters who just went to go be with his family in Belgium. So they're going to have to mess with things. But I think here's a question to end it on. How much of a disappointment with how crazy the season would be if the Roots don't make the playoffs? Is that
huge?
Is that a full crumble point?
God, you can't really say with this the board and the technical staff. It's hard to say if that will be a point of no return. Maybe a part of me, thinks it would, the sports journalist in me and covering the NFL for years. It's like, I know this is an obvious, process here. It's not working, but Oakland Roots are different.
This is true.
A
This is
lot.
true.
I'm not sure if they would hit the detonate button on the entire technical staff and the sporting operations.
Well, I'm sure Benny
Hard
would
to
probably
say.
be like, I'm going to go find another job at that point. Well, he may not earn it, but still, who knows?
Yeah, who
I,
knows?
I, I do wonder what they do with Benny, like, or what he does with the team, because like I think everyone be like, if they bring him back and like you sign an extension and you're just like, it's different, guys. Don't worry about those other girls. We're not talking to them anymore. But they were only 1-year flings. Benny's here for the long term. Like, and then they suck at the beginning of next year. Just like, do they just?
Here we go again. I feel like
it's like, oh god. Like,
I feel like if they do bring Benny back or any coach, it has to be a 2-year project minimum. I feel like you have to make that commitment to the coach. I thought they were going to make that commitment to Gavin.
yeah, it sounded like it at the beginning of the year.
Regardless
like, they
of
said all the
it
right
being
things.
questionable. Yeah. I thought it would be a clear 2-year project, regardless of how this season went, and that clearly wasn't the case. In my to that point, like what took so long? Like if you were going to make that decision, why did you sit on your hands and wait for so long? And I made this point on either to the podcast or to people. It felt like one win bought Gavin 3 games.
It really did,
going from Orange County onward, and it really worked out in that exact timeline where he won, lost 2, won, lost 2, won, lost 3, and it was over. And
it's like losing the AV outlet broke the
it broke it. Yeah.
All right. Unless there's anything else you want to throw in here, I guess, John, remind people where they can find all of your lovely stuff, and where they can find you online.
Yeah. www.Oakland Roots blog. Search us on Spotify and Roots Pod or Roots Blog. I think either one works. And then, follow me on Twitter at Jonathan_COMO. Bringing all the Roots coverage, and it's been a it's always a fun ride. There's always something new, and like I have said, it's never a dull day covering Oakland Roots.
Never. All right. Well, this has been the mid-season recap show, special extravaganza, crossover, Marvel event, whatever you want to call it. And we'll see how the Roots do the rest of the year and see if we're still smiling at the end. So thank you so much, everyone. I've been Daniel Poulter, and I'll see you all lovely people probably next week. So bye.